Willkommen, bienvenue, welcome once again to another live stream. You may have missed Chris from last week. Well, he was around because he was on Property Quorum, but unfortunately he was unavailable for us to do a live stream last week. We're picking up the mantle this week, and we're heading straight on in there with a champion gripe of mine. Well, this was suggested by Chris, not me, which is mediocrity. Is good enough really good enough? Chris,
I don't mind good, a certain level of good enough, but there seems to be this just average behavior and average output that I keep running into. And I'm not sure whether it's just me. I'm pretty sure it's not just me that keeps hitting this wall, but as
are
a
we
business
talking in
owner,
your life as a whole or just within the property market?
both.
All
I
right.
guess it impacts people in all walks of life, right? Yeah, just
Me,
average.
in my
mediocre.
business, I was only just moaning to Chris about the great blandification of LinkedIn, which is my wheelhouse, and with people using AI with very, very small amounts of prompt words. So like, make me a boat. And of course, the stuff that comes out is just all blah. It's just mediocre hogwash. And I've lost a client this week purely because they said we think that AI will do a better job, and I'm just trying to explain to people humans are what make these things work, not the computers. The computers are supposed to aid us, not take it over. But sorry, Chris, I see you've got me going now.
Well, that's all right. I mean, there's a lot of mediocrity in
You
people
see
as
it,
well as
of course, as I do. But give me examples from your own situation, and let's talk it through.
All right, just as one example. So we sell a lot of property, acting on behalf of investors. So we go and find and source property to other people as well as buy for ourselves.
Of course.
As part of that, we have less control over which advisors they might use. So the challenge that we have is because we've got no control over those advisors, they can pick and
Right.
choose who they want, which is fine. That's absolutely fine. But as of late, we seem to have had a series of transactions that have just stalled because of crap advice, really. People not picking up the phone, people not acting in time, people giving bad advice that is just flat out wrong. And it's causing our business to grind to a halt as we try and mop up these little messes that people have left everywhere. That's not how I want to be spending my time.
One of our joint members of the quorum that we run, shameless plug, every Thursday, 10 o'clock, Property Quorum, which Chris and I are members of as well. One of the bugbears of Hamish, who is our conveyancing specialist, is what he refers to as factory conveyancing. So one size fits all approach. Is that all evidence of the same crap?
I'm not sure. I think it's a different way of looking at the same problem. That's just coming at it from a different angle. So from our side, take contractors for example. There are obviously huge amounts of contractors out there. Roughly 50% of them, they're not worth getting into bed with, and the other 50%, they are normally good at what they do, but they then go through waves. Anyone who's good at what they do without taking on additional help goes through this cycle of, well, everyone wants to work with them, so they get oversubscribed, and then they kind of wane because they don't necessarily grow their business, which turns into a more mediocrity. But them I don't have a problem with, because at least they know what they're doing. They have that level of capability, and if they bring in the right people, they can grow their business. It's the other 50% thinking that an average job is okay, and that's just not where my standards are. It rattles my cage that people can just let things slide for such a long period of time and not even give a toss about how it impacts on other people, other people's businesses, and all the knock-on effects to do with that. So that's what's been rattling my cage.
No, do you know what? I see this myself. The standard of workman, as a rule, is almost like the amount of caring that was put out there by default seems to be lower. The barrier to completeness, yeah, I've done the job, but you barely put any effort into it. It doesn't look complete to me. Well, good enough, isn't it? Good enough. What do you mean good enough? Well, good enough is 100%, not 60%.
Yeah, that's right.
But we sound like two old, irritated men.
Well, one of the things that's really ground me recently, grinding my gears, is that so one of our clients, they've had taken some advice with the way that we're looking to purchase something, and they've got one of their advisors in the background saying, taking the information that we've been suggesting to the client for saying, well,
Right.
we should do this, this, and this in the process, and their advisor in the background said, no, that's not possible. That's a conflict of interest. It can't happen. Not in a million years. Like flat out, without even having a full conversation with us about what we're trying to do, just
a reflexive no.
And then we've gone back to one of our advisors thinking we're in the wrong, thinking, well, has the world changed? Does this not apply anymore? So we've had a conversation with him, and he's been in the same position, scratching his head, thinking, is that not possible? And then he's gone straight to the horse's mouth, got the answer within an hour, come back and says, yeah, of course it's possible. That's absolutely fine. Crack on. It's like, why are these people not giving the right advice, or not even bothering to look into what the actual details are that can help their client and give the right representation? So that's just one element this has been ongoing for like 3 weeks. So a transaction has been stalled for 3 weeks just to get to this one position, because of this person in the background that's been giving this poor advice.
Do they know they've been giving poor advice? Have they reconciled that? Would they reconcile themselves with the truth?
I've not got that far to get into the advisor. I'm just dealing with my clients, knowing the position that we're in, and progressing the transaction. I don't have enough time in the day to fix people's stupidity.
No, but it wouldn't matter if it was once in a blue moon. We can cope with once in a blue moon. But when it's daily, you're faced with someone who just doesn't seem to care enough, that they make a decision based on barely enough information. And then here's the worst bit, I find, Chris. They've made a poor decision, but they'll stick to it, come hell or high water, without doing any checking.
Oh yeah, the double down. Yeah, I see that all the time. So in terms, going back to Hamish's point, in terms of the sausage factory conveyances, yeah, they definitely exist, and they're certainly a bane in my life as well, because when things are going smoothly, then it all goes swimmingly. But
I'm glad Juliet's not here, but
Juliet's really into what she does. Absolutely,
no, I know that, but I'm going to accuse a lot of her profession for taking the same approach, doing the bare minimum just to get it through, or not to get it through.
It's when things go wrong, people need to. It shows the mark and the caliber of a person when things are out of sync, and what they then do to get it back into sync.
Yeah, do you know what? It's the only time when you can find the mark of a man or a woman is when you're, especially in business, it's when something goes awry. Yeah. It's how you course correct and how you deal with it, and the manner, and whether you take ownership of your crap and deal with it, or whether or not you say, no, not my problem, not my monkeys, not my circus. That's what defines relationships in my book. It's often when people stand up and be counted, and then get on with it and make the changes needed.
Slippage in the transaction process causes so many knock-on effects. So for example, when you have slippage after you've purchased a property, you're on the clock in terms of you're now paying for the finance. So you've got those finance costs ticking from day one. So everyone's like, oh, the contractors have got to get on site and they've got to get through it really quickly so we can get the property ready, tenanted, and money rolling again. That's understandable, but the people further down the line or further up the line haven't got their heads in gear to get to that process. So if you flip it around, you've got legal transactions that are just being dragged out unnecessarily so, but no recognition of the impact that it has on further down the process. Because, for example, if a solicitor can't complete within our expectations, or advise us about the timeframe delays that are going to happen, I can't then coordinate our contracting teams to get on site. So you're going to have a 1 to 2 month delay after you complete the property, where it's just stood, and then you're incurring all these costs anyway. So without joined up thinking with everyone talking along the process, and me being able to program the project end to end, it all goes to tits.
Well, what's upsetting with, particularly in the property business, is that there are moments where the process seems capable of dropping off the edge of a cliff into a crevasse that you have no real control over, and no amount of belly aching or nudging or whining will do anything about it, because it's literally, like, for instance, I know when it's going through planning regs and stuff like that, there can be moments in that where it's like there's nothing you can do. Absolutely.
That's one of the biggest challenges. It's probably one of the biggest reasons why things don't happen in that sector, why we don't build more houses. That there's just, it's chucked up in the air in terms of how long it take with planning. Well, if you purchased a property and you purchased it using finance, you have finance costs for those 6, 12, 15, 18 months while it's just sat doing nothing while you're waiting for it to go through that planning process. That's just dead money. The only people who are winning on that is the lender. But that will bankrupt some people.
Some people might think that the two are in cahoots. I would never suggest it, of course. Can you imagine what a brilliant money-making scheme that would be?
I don't think they're that organised and that thoughtful. I think it comes back to what we're talking about: mediocrity. It's just averageness everywhere, and there's just no need for it.
No, I remember a time in my youth when trades used to pride themselves: master builders, master carpenters, master joiners, plumbers that would, we are the best. And I've had it happen a couple of times recently. I had a big structure built outside my house at the other end of the property to effectively act a lean-to with a load of storage in it. It's been built barely 6 months and it's bowing in the middle. Like, I am not joking, bowing in the middle. And I phoned up the builder, and he said, well, it seemed good enough. And I said, what do you mean it seemed good enough? I would laugh if I wasn't crying. And I don't think that's an isolated incident. In my last 5 years on times engaging trades, it's so rare that you find one that has pride in their work. We're missing, as a nation of providers of services, and I suspect this goes across the board, right through conveyancing, building, and everything in between. Pride in provision of the service, and pride in the quality of your work.
It's a sad state of affairs. And when I first came into the world of work roughly 30 years ago, I spotted it then, and I thought, well, nah, things must get better. And they've not. They've gone the other way.
Yeah, but I swear 30 years ago, because I was working 30 years ago, and 30 years ago it was occasional. Now it seems to be the rule. It's almost like you don't get 3 quotes, you get 5 or 10, and then you judge each one by the caliber of the person who's going to do the work. It's often a rarity about whether they've got the right tools or and so on. It's about the caliber of the person. Now, here's my question. When you're taking on someone, you often look at qualifications, or you look at evidence of one sort or another. I question all the evidence now. Is having degrees and diplomas hanging on your wall worth anything anymore?
I don't give a toss about any of that. No, it's all about the caliber of the person. And for me, as a business owner looking to scale up what we're doing and recruiting right now, it's a scary one, because as a business owner, you have to release control and accept that people are not going to do things to the level of your standards, to how you would do it. But
Chris, I'm annoyed at us whinging. I want you to help me find an appeal that we can put out to the universe through this minor channel that we have here, and something along the lines, and this is in my mind, I don't just want people to do better, but I want them to find delight in being proud of having achieved done better, and that finding the self-respect and the respect of your peers, the individuals around you, and dare I say it, your clients, from having done not just an okay job, but something you can look back on and say, you know, if I was going to pull out of my career of jobs I've worked on, I would point to them all and say I've done them to an exemplary degree. I know people are going to be laughing behind their hands when they hear this. Would you agree? I don't just want them to do better. I want them to think better. How can they think well of themselves if they know that they're leaving jobs half-assed?
I don't know. It wrecks my head thinking about it.
Guys, if any of you are listening to this, I implore you to get in contact with me. Have an argument with us. Let's talk about it. But I'm telling you now, I guarantee that if you put that extra mile in, if you pushed us a little bit further, if you don't just provide one option, you provide three, and all of those options are equally well considered. If you do these kind of things, and then think about yourself and how you'll think back on this in 30 years time or 40 years time, when you're looking back at the highlights of your career, and you'll think, I put the effort in to make it not just good but great. You know, I think how better you'll feel about yourself. I know I'm going for existential here, but look, think how well you will if you are flighting above yourself, looking down at yourself, you could look at that and say, that was a bang up job. It was something I can be proud of. Would you agree? Is that pride is what we're missing here?
I think so to some extent. And I know those people exist. They really do.
Oh no, I've come across them. I've come across a roofer who goes the extra mile without being bid, doesn't charge for that extra bit because he wanted to do it, and it spends a little bit extra, but you know that the thing is going to be done that much better. Those sort of people, well, maybe we should celebrate them. Maybe we should celebrate them. I don't know.
Yeah, I think they're in the minority.
Well, okay. Look, guys, I don't want to leave on a sour note, but overall, do better, because you'll feel better about yourselves and your clients will think more of you. Would you agree, Chris? If you see a trade just going the extra mile and doing it to the nth degree rather than just enough, you think better of them, right?
Anyone in any walk of life, and it's recognized, it's noticed, it is spotted and appreciated. So yeah, the extra mile does make a massive, massive difference.
And on that bombshell, I'm going to say, have a wonderful weekend, everybody. We don't always just pour scorn on those poor people out there that are trying to help us. We do talk about positive things as well. But this channel is all about trying to work out what's going out there in the world of work, specifically in property, and point out things that perhaps people don't want to talk about. And I'm sorry, I agree with you, Chris. This does need to be highlighted. But Chris, I hope you have a wonderful weekend. And everybody out there, excellent as well. And make sure you just look after your mental health during all this, and take care. Bye-bye now. Got me.